If you are enjoying this podcast and other podcasts on the Dragon Wagon Radio Network, be sure to check out the Dragon Wagon Shop. Awesome t-shirts and mugs from your favorite shows so you can tout your podcast pride, all while supporting your favorite indie podcast network. And make sure to check it often for new items and limited time designs. So shop now at dragonwagonshop.com and get your dragon swag on.
In a mythical land of magic beasts and blades known as Burbank, California, an independent podcast network sets off for the greatest adventure of their pitiful lives. This is Dungeons and Dragon Wagon.
Welcome to Dungeons and Dragon Wagon, a D&D inspired homebrew role-playing game recorded and released out into the world for your entertainment. And I must say, this podcast is best in headphones. And that's not to say if you're listening in your car right now, you should stop, because that's just listen wherever you are, listen to the show. But it is best in headphones. So if you have the opportunity to get that experience, please do. My name is Jake Lloyd. I am the host of Elaborate and the founder of Dragon Wagon Radio. Find me on Twitter at Liquid Jake, on Instagram at Jake Lloyd. And I am playing the half-orcan fighter named Junk. Say hi, Junk. Hey, what's going on, little buddy? Oh, not too much. I really like that the fur you got there. Oh, yeah, you know, it's been a little chilly, and I thought people have been stabbing me so much recently that it would be nice to have a little extra protection, you know. Oh, yeah, that seems great, and it fits you very, very well. But I am not here alone, because that's a boring game. You can't play it all by yourself. The people don't want to hear that. So I am here with my associates in adventure. First, of course, she is a writer, a poet, a friend to the animals. You can find her on Twitter and Instagram at Alexandra Hoy. It is Alexandra Hoy.
Hello, hello.
Ahoy, hoy.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks. I don't think thanks is the answer.
Haven't heard that in a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I say that to you constantly.
Never.
Never? All right. Well, from now on, I'm saying it every day for the rest of our lives. Love you. Alexandra, of course, is playing the noble human ranger, Adeline. Say hi, Adeline.
Hi. What about my blue wolf pelt? I mean, isn't it? It's really kind of nicer than Junk's, if we're being honest.
I didn't notice it because I wasn't aware that you were wearing it.
I am. I mean, it's a little cold.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks lovely.
Thanks.
Listen, I just feel like it's the status quo to always compliment a woman on her looks, so I'm trying to avoid that for the sake of feminism.
But I'm also wearing a wolf pelt, which is kind of cool.
To her left, he is a writer, director, and the man with no foe. He is as tall as he is a fan of 90s superhero cartoons. Please find him on Twitter at Matt_Hingstman and on Instagram at mhingstman. It's Matt Hingstman.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is our second early morning recording in a row. Mm-hmm. I think we're not going to do this ever again because I'm really, it's hard. I'm not a morning person.
Neither am I, but I feel good.
Yeah. I feel like people hear my voice and go, wow, this dude's, you need to turn it down a little bit. I wish, if this is you not being a morning person, then what is it like when you're actually excited? Mm-hmm. Matt, of course, is playing the Shadow Elf Rogue Matson. Say hi, Matson.
Hi.
I love it. I mean, just the single hi just makes
He's also not a morning person.
He's also not a morning person. And of course, this week, our guest of Quest, we are pleased to have with us an actor and improviser, as well as a talented illustrator and host of Ride or Dice, a fantastic podcast not too dissimilar to our own. Follow him on Twitter at Andrew Mena and on Instagram at the Andrew Mena. For those sweet D&D arts, it is the Andrew Mena.
Hey, guys, it's me. You got all of that stuff right. I didn't tell you any of it.
No, listen, we run a tight ship here.
Not for nothing. You sure do.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Complimenting my ego is the best way to get invited back on the show.
Yay.
So, Andrew, you have a storied history with D&D.
I do. I've been playing it for a number of years now. My roommate and I sort of explode into a number of games that he and I both DM.
Sounds dangerous.
Over the course of the week. Oh, it's so dangerous. We spawned one podcast and then another,
The second one is welcome to
the dungeon hole.
That's
right.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I should have mentioned that up top. Welcome to the dungeon hole.
That one's on a hiatus for the moment, but that one's still out there in the world.
That one features a former guest of Quest, Brendan McKay.
Yes, it does. It most certainly does. Second season, it has Brendan McKay as Emmett Silverfist, who is a
Silverfist is the best name for any character that Brendan plays.
He is a wonderful impression of Ron Swanson that he's doing.
See, I wouldn't have thought that, but I love that.
Yeah, he's become a meme among our friend group. It's great.
I absolutely love that.
Ridiculous.
Well, we are so pleased to have you. We can't wait to figure out who you're playing and get to know you and dive into this. But with that said, let's hand the reins off to the creator of these lands. He is our almighty God. Praise be to him. Too much? Over the top? A little bit over the top. That's fine.
Let's offer him a tribute.
He is a writer, an improviser, and host of Myth Understood. Please welcome our fearless DM. Oh yeah, I forgot to do the thing. Follow him on Instagram at the Paul Bianchi. It is the Paul Bianchi.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh my God, are you
Santa?
Did you just Santa this bitch?
Yeah, I just thought I would Santa my way in. Wow. I thank you for that lovely introduction. Of course, it's not too out of the norm for you because I did see that that setup that you have for me in your bedroom with my picture and the candles and the place to sacrifice small animals.
Oh yeah, no. I kill 5 chickens a day for you.
Yeah, it's a little much. I have to say, especially because I've been trying to eat less chicken recently.
Oh crap! So should I'll start buying tofurkeys.
Yeah,
I'll sacrifice tofurkeys
please,
to you.
That'd be great.
Smart. It is also weird to have a shrine to anybody whose last name means whites. Yeah, that's a little off color.
Yeah, it's
that's the show.
There you go. Well, I'm really excited to jump back into these lands. We're about to start chapter 7.1. Tread soft upon the moonwalk.
Ooh.
And away we go. Beyond the chilly high-grass prairie that feeds into Rymore's tundra sits what is collectively known as the Softlands. Known for creeks, rivers, a mild climate, and fertile soil, they are a perfect territory for migrant elves looking to settle south. The crown jewel of their settlement was Valkyrie, boasting a fine port, trading posts, and a temple for the overseeing ministers. The party sees this temple sticking out from an unusually dense fog. It has been 2 days since leaving the ruins of Dagra, and they've encountered no other souls. Suddenly, from out of the fog walks a mysterious figure in a white animal mask, a horned rabbit. He signals for you to follow him, and as you do, you find the fog becoming denser, smothering. Wispy hands emerge from the fog and clench tightly around your noses and mouths. You try to fight, to react in some way that will save you, but you find yourselves instead rapidly losing consciousness. Awaken, you hear. Awaken. And you slowly do, finding yourselves on cots in a large tent.
What the hell was that?
Adeline, you right?
I'm okay, I think. Are you guys okay?
Does anyone else have morning wood?
Monson quickly reaches for his knife.
That won't be necessary, Shadow Elf. The voice comes from a tall elven minister wearing religious robes. He has long, sandy brown hair and deep-set eyes. He's standing in front of you, and that same man in the white-colored horned rabbit mask is standing guard by the flaps of the tent. It is night.
Where the hell are we? What are we doing here?
You are in Valkyrie. Welcome.
Why the hell did you knock us out? What did you do to us?
I'm so sorry. That was a spell placed upon Valkyrie for protection of outside visitors. You might not be aware of this, but there's a gnome insurrection occurring throughout the land right now.
Yeah, we're very familiar with the gnome insurrection at this point.
Our land needs to be under very watchful protection.
Oh.
I guess that makes sense. But just next time, you could just ask if we're dangerous. We'll tell you we're fine.
He chooses to ignore Junk's words and instead turns his attention to the man in the mask. Fanfarel.
Yes, Father?
Thank you for bringing our visitors to me. It was very brave to go out into the world in this time of trouble.
I sensed their spirits waning, and I thought to myself, what would Father do? He would bring them back and make sure that they are okay. So that is what I did.
I appreciate that, my son.
I don't know if it's just the lingering magic that you used, but you talk funny.
I do speak strange, surely, for the people in my village, but I speak from the heart.
You know, all this talk of speaking from the heart just made my morning wood go away. Excuse me, to whom am I speaking right now? Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Rathiel, and I'm the Minister of Valkyrie. I've been through your belongings. I've seen that you are not a threat to us. None of you appear to be spies for the gnomes, but I did come across those trade agreements that you found, I would assume from the ruins of Dagra.
Yes, we just came from there. We've been all across these lands, just doing our best to help those afflicted by this terrible conflict.
Well, fortunately for you, then you'll be pleased to hear that we're way ahead of you. We have assembled a force over here in Valkyrie, and we are lending our troops to Silverhammer, for we believe that if Silverhammer falls, so too will the rest of Shell's Basin.
Agreed. This is perfect. We want to lend our hand as well.
I do have a hope for the four of you, if you'd be willing to take my advisement. You four are a small unit, with a growing reputation among the free folk.
Well, listen to that, guys. We have a reputation. See? People are talking about us.
Some good, some bad.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
While our armies prepare for battle in Silverhammer, a party such as yours could infiltrate the kingdom of Filgarth and Brayfrost and uncover their schemes. Ships have been carrying large boxes down the Sansi River into the Shuddering Gulf to Brayfrost. And if these boxes are carrying what our spies believe it to be, our troubles are far greater than we could ever imagine.
What do you believe it to be? What's rumored to be in the boxes?
Fragments of an ancient sky tiller.
Skytiller, you mean the giants from Legend?
Yes.
What do you think they're planning to do with them?
I believe that they're trying to bring the sky tiller back to life through necromancy.
Dark magics.
Is that possible?
I would not know. It's not the way of the Elves of Valkyrie to dabble in such magics, but the magicians of Brayfrost are known to experiment.
I want to roll for sense motive. 14.
Yeah, there's a very soothing day spa-like quality to Rathiel that makes you feel like he's exuding nothing but honesty.
Adeline shoots the group a look as if to say, I think he's telling the truth.
Okay, so say we agree to embark on your endeavor here. I mean, we're still mostly strangers to Rymore. How would we even find our way down south and find this army?
Oh, yeah, I've been down to Brayfrost a few times. I've spent some time in Jorn and even in the Bitter Cove. Perhaps we could take a ship from there.
We have a lot of luck with ships.
Do we?
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Oh, I get it. I like sarcasm. I love you, Junk.
Really?
No, I was sarcasm. I actually have mixed feelings towards you.
Junk is visually just absolutely crushed.
Well, how far away is the nearest port?
You should know. Why don't you pull a map out of your fancy armor and show us?
Oh, me? I would if I could. I don't have any. I'm sorry.
The closest port is in Sansi Village. I was hoping to facilitate your travel there through the Moonwalk.
What's a moonwalk?
It's the way that our ancient people used to travel via giving tidings to Dark Shalene.
How exactly does it work?
Why, you walk the path of moonlight as it is cast down upon the waters outside of Valkyrie, and thusly reflected upwards from the waters outside of Sansi Village. It's really quite simple.
This sort of practice seems dangerous for the inexperienced. Will one of you be joining us?
How interesting of you to suggest that, Adeline. I was just about to tell my son I would love for him to go on this journey.
No
with you.
way. Were you really? I was going to suggest it too.
Oh, I don't.
That is delayed.
I don't think that's necessary. I think we'll be fine just on our own.
Well, I really must insist on the matter because my son has not yet completed a moonwalk. He's been very invested in his studies of clerisy.
Gotten very close. This would be a wonderful opportunity for me, as well as an opportunity for me to assist you.
In addition, son, your presence has been requested by Minister Morrill. There's a situation occurring with the Sibylins in the area, and I know your measured hand, your study of clerisy, and your abundant heart will be of great use down there.
Fenfer bows deeply and goes,
It would be my honor to represent you, Father.
Monson walks over to Rathiel and kind of brings him in close. Rathiel, we have reason to believe that the reason the gnomes are doing all of this is in preparation for an invasion by the Shadow Elves. Myself, I've been in exile from them for some time now, so I can't say I'm privy to any of their plans. Do you have any reason to believe that this is true, and are we prepared to fight a war on two fronts?
That is a legitimate concern. that has been raised. Your people, the Shadow Elves, are known to be quite warlike. Hundreds of years ago, the Shadow Elves pushed us here south to the soft lands, and we've gotten by and we've made do, but we've never forgotten the heartache the cost of losing our lands has had on us. We are more concerned, though, at present that what the Gnomes is planning would cause devastation beyond what the Shadow Elves could ever do to us. They are still in the throes of their wars with the desert folk, and that doesn't look to be lightening up anytime soon. What I can say, though, is several weeks ago, a Shadow Elf came through Valkyrie, heading south to investigate the interworkings of what is occurring in Bravefrost. Perhaps when you travel south as well, you'll encounter this man.
Thank you. I'll keep an eye out for him. I agree that the gnomes are the most pressing problem.
Thank you, my son. Raythiel walks over to a short desk in the corner. On this desk is an artifact that looks like it would be frustrating to put together. It is several pieces of silver meticulously balanced and holding 4 candles. If any one piece is disturbed or inconsistently weighted, the whole structure will just collapse. Flanking the structure are 2 small statues, one with the image of Dark Shalene, the other with the image of Rasa.
Junk looks over to Fenferal and gestures for him to come over to him.
Fenferal points at himself like, me? And then comes over.
Hey, Fenferal.
Yes.
So you give tidings to Dark Shalene in order to use this moonwalk?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works.
And what about Rasa here? What does she have to do with it?
Let me do a knowledge roll to see if I'm familiar with what he's bringing up right now.
That's a hot one.
Starting off hot.
Fenferal has not paid as much attention in the religious studies.
So when you ask him about the statue, he kind of nervously looks to see how close his father is, and he goes,
Yeah, of course. Yes, this is a very famous statue of a priestess that we used to have. Her name was Karen. This village, don't ask my father about it, but it is a very obviously famous story. You would have seen Karen statues around.
No, that's, I'm actually familiar. That's, her name's not Karen, unless...
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure that is Karen.
Yeah.
Did you meet her?
Maybe she goes by Karen in some places, but I know her as Rasa, and she's like...
Maybe my Karen and your Rasa are one and the same.
You know what? That's exactly what's happening here.
Thank you for this enlightening conversation.
It has definitely been very helpful. Thank you so much, Fenferal.
Junk looks over to Raythiel, realizing he has most definitely asked the wrong person.
When you look at him, his eyes are closed. He's in the middle of a ceremony that's involving these balanced candles and the statues that are on either side of them.
Adeline, noticing what Raythiel is doing, kind of inches over so that she can hear what he's saying.
When Adeline gets closer to Raythiel, she sees that both of his hands are resting palm down in front of each of the statues. And he's not referring to either the names of Dark Shalene or Rasa. He is instead just referring to them as the sisters. As he's finishing this rite that is mostly in Elven and thus you don't understand, you see him whisper 4 words before blowing out each candle. Lissalis. Venchalen. Karis. Torson. And then he withdraws a hilt, a dagger without a blade, and walks into the center of the room. As if there is a blade, he stabs his palm, wincing with pain, and then he pulls the hilt away, blood trickling from his palm.
What?
He returns to his desk and stamps a piece of parchment with his bloodied handprint. Then, carefully, he folds the parchment into a boat.
Oh, hey, look, give me a little boat.
He really did.
After that, he walks with the boat into the next room, sort of beckoning you to follow, but it's up to you whether or not you follow him or not.
With Raythiel gone, Adeline's going to take a look around the tent in more detail. I'm going to roll a perception check.
Great.
So 12.
The room is this canvas tent, old and weathered by the elements. On a desk beside the one where Raythiel did his ceremony are 7 blood wax candles, a vial of black sand, and the trade agreement Orny picked up in Dagra. Above the desk, there is a painting hanging from the tent structure. It depicts two women, one bathed in shadows, the other one basking in a brilliant light. On its title placard, it says, The Fallen Sisters, in both Elven and Common tongue.
Fenfarrell looks over and sees you looking at all of the stuff and goes,
I counted those candles, okay? So don't think you can just slip it in your pocket like it is a trinket in the castle, Miss Princess.
Perhaps most captivating is the hilt of this interesting dagger that drew blood from Raphael's hand that is still sitting on the desk as well with the extinguished candles.
And also, do not touch the ghost knife.
I'm not going to touch anything.
Okay, I can tell you are used to getting the things that you want, so please do not just start taking whatever it is from my tent, okay?
Okay, let's just follow your father and his tiny boat.
So the party all is going to follow along?
Fenfarrell walks over and grabs the ghost knife and whispers to himself,
For luck.
So the next room is built of stone. It's an ancient structure with the more modern tent built like right into it. Built into the floor against the far wall is a small staircase that leads into a pool of water. Moonlight comes in, just pouring in through the ceiling, and it reflects against the water. There is a small passageway opposite the steps that is too small for a human, but is just the right size for a paper boat to travel through. Raphael, as if on cue, has set the boat on the surface of the water and is allowing the slight current to take it away.
Oh my goodness, how cute is that? The petite parchment pontoon fits perfectly in the passageway at the end point of that pond-like pit.
Indeed, yes.
Very eloquently put.
Well, thank you.
And now, in order for you to continue this rite and travel very quickly to Sansi village, you'll all need to trust me and take a drink of Love Nut.
Of what now?
Of love nut. Drink of my father's love nut. I don't know why they always laugh when we offer this to people.
It's so confusing
It's
to me
not
as
weird.
well.
Junk immediately grabs it, reaches in to his little pouch, and he touches his little small statue of Dark Shalene. Sort of like, hey, please be nice to me. I know I'm a vessel of Rasa, but don't separate my limbs from one another, and then immediately chugs it.
Raphael watches you do this. It's a very small pink vial, and he says, "Oh, you weren't supposed to drink all of it."
And I'm trying to like slowly like maybe spit whatever's left in my mouth back in the vial.
Like, I'm so sorry.
You're a large humanoid man, so
This father, is he going to be okay?
I do worry. I've never had an orc in Moonwalk before.
This is going to be
Quickly,
crazy.
step down into the water before you pass out.
Yeah,
please.
sure.
And I hand the vial back, and I step down in the water. I look over to Scamper Sand.
Oh, is he going to be okay?
Oh, he's coming with you.
Well, yeah, of course.
Then your familiar must drink as well, but only the smallest of drops.
Junk wipes some of the spilled love nut from his beard and goatee and holds it up to Scamper Sand to drink.
I guess I'm doing this with you, boss. Makes me uncomfortable, but down the hatch.
And he licks the love nut out of your hands. And right as this happens, I need you to roll a clumsy check.
Oh, no!
Yes.
That's a 6.
Right after Junk feeds Scamperson this liquid, immediately your eyes become very heavy and you just pass out face first, like full on belly flop into this pool of water. Good form.
Should we turn him over?
Yes, make sure he doesn't drown. I got it.
and then Fenfarrell just sort of like waddles over and like flips him just by the ankles, just very, very lazily.
Oh, he's going to be fine.
Luckily, I have an abundance of love nut for everyone. Raphael returns to a small cabinet and pulls out another small pink vial. Only a sip, please. And he hands it to Adeline.
Adeline, ever attentive to the rules here and witnessing what just happened to Junk, definitely only takes a sip and hands it over to Matson. Here, drink the love nut.
Matson swirls it and gives it a little sniff. And not taking my eyes off of Raphael, I hand it over to Fanfarrell. After you.
Cheers, friends.
Fenfarrell holds it up and takes a dainty little sip with his pinky out and hands it to Orny.
Here you go, little man.
Thank you very much. And Orny takes an even tinier sip, just being very conscious of his size in comparison to you, and then hands it back up to Matson.
Matson takes it and hesitantly takes a small sip.
Excellent. Now just clear your minds and walk into the pool, and very soon you'll find yourself on the Moonwalk.
Father,
Yes, my son.
may I borrow the ghost dagger on this dangerous mission?
Part of me knew you would ask me that.
It is a very cool dagger, Papa.
Please, if you must wield it, refer to it as the Spirit Blade. We've
The
talked about
Spirit
this.
Blade, I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you. I'll see you soon. Love you.
Love you too.
So Adeline steps into the water first.
As you start to walk into the water, you feel that the pool is deeper than it visually lets on. It's this feeling of like you could walk forever and never reach the actual entrance of the tunnel. It's a very unusual, vertigo-inducing feeling.
Okay, whoa. Adeline puts her arms up very quickly to steady herself.
Your hand comes up and nearly knocks off Kelborni's hat as he's still on the top step. And he's like, whoa, here we
sorry.
go. This reminds me of the time I went to a rave. And he starts walking down the steps as well.
You sound like you have a lot of stories, little man.
Oh, I most certainly do.
You
And,
should tell us some of them over this adventure.
and everyone starts to feel the effects of the love nut. It makes you feel like you're falling asleep, but the sort of kind of falling asleep that you might feel from being drugged. And everything's very hazy. And when you awaken, you find yourself not in any sense of reality. You find yourself at the foot of this giant waterfall, a waterfall that would have killed you if you actually fell down from. And when you look up, you don't see sky. You see purple and brown misty clouds. And everyone is awake at this moment except for Junk, who is still face down on the moonwalk, just is completely out of it, seeming, with a very concerned-looking Scampersand running around on his back.
I have a bit of healing magics if you think he needs it. He just kind of looks sleepy to me.
Let's see if he'll wake up if I scream in his ear.
It's not quite the bedside manner I would hope for personally.
Wake up, slut!
Well, that didn't work.
Fenferal gets really close.
New friend, I am whispering kindly, but it is time for you to wake up, okay?
Hey. Whoa, what? Whoa, hey.
Hey.
Oh, hey. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Wait, we met you.
Yeah.
Oh, that
You are
mask.
friends. We are friends.
The
It
mask
is okay.
that mask is a weird thing to wake
I
up
will
to.
take it off for the moment.
Fenferal finally takes his mask off, and what you see before you is this sort of round, pudgy half-elf covered in as much facial hair as is possible for someone of his lineage. Just big mutton chops connected to a really patchy mustache and beard. He's got long black hair that's tied up in this top knot. He is absolutely balding on the top, so the top knot is kind of on the back end of it. And he's just wearing a very beautiful, bright red kimono-ish robe.
You look well, friend. It is time to get going.
He gets up and he shakes the cobwebs off and looks for Scampersand.
Right here, boss.
Oh, good.
Junk pats his head and then finally gets a look around.
Whoa. This place is weird.
Indeed, this place is unlike any place I've been before. Echo! Look at the landmass. It just falls off into nothing. I've never been in a place like this before.
Wait, are we sleeping? Or is this happening?
Yes, I find that when you are inside the Moonwalk, sometimes things get a little groovy.
That's very interesting. Tell me, what are those creatures on the shoreline? Other people are seeing these, right?
Yeah, Junk's going to roll a quick perception.
Uh-huh.
It's a 10.
On the shoreline, you find a pack of bizarre-looking creatures. They are 2 feet tall. They have the heads and forelegs of lions and the butts and hind legs of ants.
Mutton grabs a blade and turns to Fanfurl. Should we be concerned about these things?
Fenferal's going to make a nature roll to see if he knows what the hell these are. Net 20, baby!
Oh,
Nice.
all of the time that Fenrir's spent not learning about the actual religion of his people, he did learn about the spirit realm dwelling Myrmicolians. They are typically non-violent or non-aggressive. However, they are meddlesome, and they will affect the mood and create illusions for travelers traveling around them.
Fenferal kind of like takes a step forward and takes his bow staff out and sort of plants it in like the ankle deep water next to us and says,
Tread carefully, friends. These creatures create illusions in your eyes. Be not fooled by them.
we should journey on then. Perhaps we should find that vessel that your father made.
Yes, I think that would be prudent.
You all journey through this ankle-deep water for a short time. The Myrmicolians jump around like grasshoppers on the banks of this bizarre landscape. Rounding the bend, you come across a small island.
This is Lesalis, the Island of Wisdom.
What's there?
The Island of Wisdom is always something different.
Adeline's intrigued after hearing this and decides to just walk over to the island.
Yeah, and the rest of the party follows.
Approaching this island, Orny specifically feels an oppressive sense of dread. Suddenly, something manifests on the island. It is a torn-in-half dwarf, oozing blood and intestines.
Ugh.
All but Fenfarel recognize the dwarf as Kelber Atticus, the very dwarf who was ripped apart by a yeti in front of all of you back in Shell's Landing Kelbana Temple when the gnomes first attacked. He is alive, and he directs his angry glare to Orny.
It should have been you. It should have been you, Kelber Orny. The joke. The fool. How dare you survive and attempt to make a difference? It's a mockery. A shame that I die and one such as you lives on.
Who is your friend? He's very rude.
He's not a friend of mine. He bullied me at the Kelbana Temple, and he got torn in half by a yeti.
Oh, I see. That explains the whole halving thing.
This is absolutely ludicrous. I'm just going to choose to ignore him.
Unfortunately, ignoring him is not an option, for we cannot continue if you do not face him.
All right, I guess I'll... what do you want, dead facsimile of Kelber Atticus? What do you want from me?
I want you to die.
Junk, with a desire to defend Orny, immediately steps in front and puts his right hand out in sort of a defensive manner and grabs his warhammer with his left hand.
Atticus's top half begins to crawl at you on the ground.
Fenfarel steps forward and says, "No need for violence," and just sort of very gently but firmly places his staff in the middle of this thing's back, trying to pin it down.
Fenfarel's staff squishes against the very old, rotten flesh.
Oh, that is gross.
And it is enough to keep this thing from crawling towards Kelber Orny, and it flails its arms pathetically at him.
Mr. Orny, I think this pathetic thing needs something from you more than simply your disdain. Seora would not be here on the Isle of Wisdom.
I've lived long enough to know that there are certain memories that you need to combat and others that you must hold on to. This is one that deserves to be destroyed. And he walks over with his cudgel, and he just brains Kelber Atticus immediately. As soon as this happens, Kelber Atticus fades away into a deep purple smoke, and a silver talisman sits in the place of where his legs once were.
I suppose violence was the answer.
I appreciate your input, Fenfarel. However, every impulse in my body told me that violence was the way past this trial.
Yes. You say, Mr. Orny, you have lived a long time. Have you lived long enough to have mercy?
Occasionally. And Orny walks over and he picks up the silver talisman. He holds it up in the very hazy light of the moonwalk, and it has Lesalis inscribed upon it.
It says Lesalis, for those of you who cannot read that.
Junk eases himself after yet another awful murdering on by the hands of Kelber Orny's cudgel, looks at the party, and just continues onward.
And as you continue on, you see that there is another island in the distance.
Ah, another one. Anybody else that hates you, Orny?
So many people.
Well, I guess we'll find out who's on this one.
As we approach this island, this time it is Matson who feels this unusual feeling of dread. And Matson must roll a saving roll for me.
All right. 14.
As you approach this island, you don't see anything directly in the center of it. But instead, from Matson's pack, he hears an unusual cracking sound.
Matson, is that...
The girl.
Matson grabs the pack off his shoulders and puts it on the ground and opens the flap.
When you open your bag, you notice that the egg isn't the same egg that you remember. Instead, it is a very large bird egg, and a large crack is forming down the top of its shell.
Matson stands and starts to back away in fear.
A very large talon kicks the top of the shell off, and an impossibly large, full-grown terror bird rises out of the shell. This terror bird looks identical to Hank, except that it is more zombified and gory than you remember Hank being the first time that you saw him. In the mouth of Hank, dangling from a few choice hairs, is the severed head of Asteria.
Remember, Matson, what you're seeing here isn't real.
How do you know? Matson lowers himself to the ground and is hiding himself rather than standing strong in front of this thing.
Oh, come on, Matson. I'm the one she killed. The time for cowering is concluded, comrade. You've got to face it.
Junk grabs the back of Matson's cloak and lifts him up off the ground to like a standing position and pushes him forward.
We've got your back.
When you do this, Asteria's eyes open, and she speaks.
Have you come to kill me again?
No. Don't make me do it again.
I'll do it. And after that, everyone needs to roll for initiative.
It's a natural 20 for Junk.
17 for Adeline.
13 for Finfarrell.
Appropriately 4 for Matson.
Junk gets the first turn to act as Hank is preparing to attack Matson.
Come on, strike me down. Kill me again. Watch the life drain from my eyes once more.
Because Junk feels like the test that they are in is that of a personal one, he feels that it is actually Matson's job to take care of this. Junk is going to enact his Bide special attack.
Great.
Come on, Matson. You know this isn't real.
Of course he would say that. He belongs to her now. Remember what we had, Matson? That was real. Join me.
It's Adeline's turn next.
Adeline swiftly draws her bow and is going to try a pinning shot on the bird just to ease Matson's fears a bit. That's an 11. For 8.
When Adeline looses her arrow, it flies through the air and goes through Hank Asteria. It makes a whoosh sound as if for that contact it has become smoke to allow the arrow to land behind in the island. It does seem to inflict some amount of damage, though, as this occurs.
You must love watching your friends hurt me again, Matson. Oh, the pain!
And it is Fenfrill's turn.
Fenfrill takes this widened stance, planting his bow staff in the mud. He reaches an outstretched hand towards Matson.
Rise, my shadowy friend, for today you shall know the light.
And this shimmering light shield appears above Matson.
Ooh.
And Shield of Light raises Matson's armor class +2 AC.
+2.
With Junk's bite attack in play, directing Hank's ire towards him, Hank comes in for a charging attack at him, knocking him down for 3 damage.
Yeah, that's right. Give me some more.
And you'll be able to take that 3 damage and apply it to your next attack because of Bide.
Yeah.
Orny runs over, feeling good about his cudgel. He rears up and he just clocks the bird in the knee. Again, there's this whoosh sound of it going through the leg. You know, Junk, I think you might be right. I don't think that we can possibly do as much damage to this beast that Matson could. And luckily, it's Matson's turn to strike next.
Matson pulls out one of his misnaried stabbers, and since the other one was broken in combat, he's going to take out his bloodletting knife. He finds the strength in himself, and he's going to attack. That is a 10 on my attack roll for 1 and 4 damage.
Matson channels his courage into his attack. He runs at the beast and successfully stabs him twice in the chest, expertly. And unlike the previous attempts where there was a whooshing noise, this one makes that satisfying stabbing noise of stabbing something. And you get away with a hearty 6 damage. And it is Junk's turn to act next.
That a boy, Matson. I'm proud of you.
And with that, Junk takes his warhammer off of his back and charges at Hank for a standard attack, but he's going to put a little armor break stink on it.
Cool.
That is a 6 for 10 plus 3 for Bide, so 13 in total.
A very epic swing from Junk, looking like he's going to decapitate the bird. His warhammer goes directly through the neck, and for a moment, the head and the body are not connected, but of course they reconnect after this mighty swing. Hank looks weakened, but still ready to attack.
Yes, Continue to hide behind your friends, Motsin. You don't deserve that dagger my father gave you.
And it is Adeline's turn again.
Adeline's gonna try charm, actually. Just to see what happens. That's 18 for 6 damage.
A very unusual thing occurs here on the Moonwalk. When Adeline looses her arrow, it sails through the air just as it did before, passes through Hank, lands on the other side. However, a poof of pink smoke in the shape of a heart strikes him, and he trots over to you, Adeline, and looks at you like, all right, I'm ready to serve you.
Okay, maybe I didn't think this all the way through.
Well, now what do we do?
Monson slowly reaches out to pet Hank.
Upon this action, Hank opens his mouth, causing Asteria's head to drop. Instead of landing with a sickening thud or anything like that, it instead explodes into black smoke and disappears completely. And yet, from behind you, you hear...
Motsin?
Motsin turns around to find Asteria standing there fully formed, just as beautiful as he remembers her.
Asteria.
You know, a part of me believed you would choose me. That in that moment you would let me live.
You gave me no choice.
You always have a choice. But you did what you felt you needed to, as I did. Perhaps it's our common resolve that drew us together in the first place.
Asteria, what happened in the temple was...
The time is coming, Motsin. The time for another choice to be made. Will you once again be prepared to do what needs to be done?
I don't know.
Asteria steps closer to Motsin.
Motsin, you mustn't hesitate. Or when the moment comes, the choice might not be yours to make.
With this, Asteria quickly grabs Motsin's wrist, then grabs his dagger and plunges it into her belly.
No!
And yet, instead of a bloody mess, Asteria's body instantly disintegrates into black smoke. Hank as well, both of them cascading to the ground.
Motsin drops down and sifts through the ash to pick up what I assume is another coin.
You indeed find another silver coin.
Motsin feels the eyes of the party watching him, so he stands and kind of returns to his stoic demeanor and holds the coin in his hand.
Motsin, what was she talking about?
I don't know. And I don't like this place.
Fenferl places a warm hand on Motsin's shoulder.
Motsin holds the coin up to Fenferl and he says, "What does this say?"
It reads Torsen.
The Island of Curiosity.
Well, shall we keep going?
Yeah. Sooner we get out of here, the better.
As the party proceeds, Adeline turns to Fenferl. You say you've never completed a moonwalk yourself. May I ask why not?
Well, I have tried many times. I entered and approached the island I know is for me, but for some reason the moonwalk does not present me with anything. I've wandered here for hours, and eventually I always rise back to where I started. My father says it is because I am incomplete, or that I have yet to experience true fear, but I do not truly know.
As the party continues on, you spot another island in the distance, and now it is Junk's turn to feel this overwhelming feeling of dread, and he must roll a saving throw.
Hey guys, I'm feeling a thing. Please don't be Culverselfen. Please don't be Culverselfen.
It's a 9.
As you approach the island, Junk, you see first, before anyone else does, that there is a mirror sitting in the center of this island.
After seeing Orny and Motsin's islands, Junk is confident and he walks steadfast directly towards the mirror.
When Junk approaches the mirror, he sees himself, but not the version he knows himself to be. The reflection mirrors his movements perfectly, but the body is of Junk if he were a full-blood Orcan, taller and more monstrous, bloodied with the lives of innocents he took on the battlefield. He wears the symbol of Rasa carved into his bare chest, proud to be in service of his demon queen.
Junk stops in his tracks, and he sees the reflection, and he takes a step forward and notices that the reflection is just that, an actual reflection of his motions. He steps closer and he leans in eye to eye with this version of himself that he absolutely hates and is terrified of. He looks directly into his own pure Orcan eyes, and he runs his hands across his own chest, watching in the mirror as the full Orcan version runs its hands across the scars and emblems of Rasa, and he begins to feel that rage building up inside of him, only instead of being fueled by just anger, it's fueled by absolute heartbreak and pain and sadness.
Adeline approaches, seeing this.
Orny approaches the mirror as well, seeing the rage brimming in his companion, and perhaps trying to diffuse the situation a bit. He says,
Oh, Junk, there's no time to be checking out your muscles in the mirror.
I killed her. I killed that silent sister in the name of Rasa. I did it. But this isn't me. I'm not him.
As he points to the mirror.
everyone else, when they look at the mirror, only sees Junk's actual reflection.
Junk, what do you see?
I've seen true Orcans. I've seen what true Orcans do. I know that the blood runs through me and I hate it. I hate myself for it, but I had to do it. Keeping a hole in my chest, I had to do it.
Junk turns away from the mirror, back to the party, all staring at him.
My mother. She was a pure Orcan, saved and changed by humans. She always told me that I was to be better than she was. She said that despite my Orcan blood, I had my father's heart. The heart of a human, and I needed it back.
Junk removes a statue of Darkshaleen from his pouch and is starting to shake.
I needed my human heart back, or else I would be no different from any monster. I'd be no different from him.
And in one swift motion, Junk spins around and throws the statue of Darkshaleen at the mirror with all of his might.
Upon contact, the mirror shatters, falls downwards, and behind the mirror now stands a full Orcan version of Junk, and everyone has to roll for initiative again.
Yes, that's another natural 20 for Junk.
15 for Matson.
13 for Adeline.
That's a hot 6 for Fed Farrell.
And so it's Junk's turn to act first.
Seeing himself in a mirror as this orc is one thing, but seeing an actual physical version of himself as a full Orcan brings back terrible memories, and Junk immediately starts having flashbacks of an Orcan tribe destroying his entire village, burning his home and killing his loved ones and his mother. And he's absolutely petrified in the moment, but he knows he must swallow his fear the best he can. And so on instinct alone, he charges the beast in an attempt to use Rage Wind on him. That's a critical failure for 8 damage.
With visions from his childhood alive in his head, Junk, with more gusto than perhaps he should have in this situation, readies his Rage Wind attack. He swings past this monstrous version of himself and collides with the water below, face planting in the water. He pulls himself to his feet, dripping with water, more enraged than he was before.
I will not be beaten by you.
It is Orny's turn to act next. Orny reaches into his alchemy pouch, and as he does, he says to Junk,
Junk, just know I take no joy in doing this.
And he wields this poultice of Frostburst and chucks it at the dark, corrupted version of Junk. It shatters on contact with his enemy, and miraculously, despite this being in a dreamy world, it freezes this beast solid. And it would have been that beast's turn to strike next, except now it is Matson's turn.
Awesome.
Junk, I know who you really are. You're my friend, and you're not a monster. So Matson pulls his Misnereed Stabbers and one of his old daggers, and he's going to attack Dark Junk. That is a 18 attack roll and 1 and 2 damage.
Matson goes up and makes unusual contact with this frosty, misty structure, frozen in this form, and yet making that familiar swishing noise to let you know that your attacks are not doing as much damage as Junk's would do in this time. And it is now Adeline's turn.
As Adeline reaches for an arrow from her quiver, she turns to Junk first. Junk, we know this is a part of you, but we know the true you, and we love you. We understand. And she quickly shoots. 10 for 2 damage.
Excellent. Adeline's arrow sails again through the icy form of dark, corrupted Junk, and Fenferal has his moment.
Fenferal takes a step towards Junk.
Mr. Junk, I am also a half, just like you. You must understand that it is not a burden. It is a blessing. You are the best parts of those worlds. Do not kill the part of you that reminds you of your mother. Embrace it, and you will be stronger for it.
And with that final word, he gestures upwards and casts calm emotions over everyone.
Whatever state of heightened emotion the party found themselves in at this moment, they find themselves instead more relaxed. This goes for the enemy as well, who, due to being emboldened by rage, is weakened by the spell despite being frozen solid. Junk, as well as being calmed, finds his energy from Rage Wind rejuvenated, and his turn in combat has been restored. And now it is his turn to act.
Between the kind words of Matson, Adeline, and Finferal, as well as Finferal's calming spell, Junk feels renewed and refocused. He picks his warhammer out of the shallow water, turns his attention back to the frozen orc, and charges. He swings right at his head and is using armor break. That's a 16 for 6 damage.
When Junk makes contact with this darkened version of himself, instead of it being like any sort of a violent shatter, it becomes like a powder snow. And the snow almost coats you, perhaps inspired by the words that Fenfarel said. It's not so much of a destruction as it is an embrace of your dark side that envelops around you as it falls around and leaves another silver coin just on the ground at your feet.
Junk reaches down and grabs the coin. As he rises up, he takes note of this snowy ash covering his forearm for a moment. Then he gestures towards Finferal.
Well, what does this one say?
That is Karis. Will.
Junk puts his warhammer back on his shoulder.
Well, let's keep going.
And while we're walking, Matson is kind of looking over towards Adeline, seeing if she's nervous or trying to wonder what's going on in her mind at this moment.
You see that Adeline is clearly tense, clenching her teeth, knowing the likelihood of the next island being hers is high.
As the party approaches this last island, not only does Adeline feel this sudden feeling of dread, but also so does Fenfarel. And you both have to roll a saving throw together.
It's happening, I think. I think this island is for me.
I don't know, Fenfarel. I feel something too.
That's a 10.
12.
Appearing before your eyes is a chair in the middle of this island. It's a very familiar chair, at least in the memory of Adeline. It is the chair that your father used to sit at in front of the fireplace at your home in Biteport. The chair is facing away from you, looking towards that very fireplace.
Adeline stops for a moment and takes a really deep breath and immediately takes her bow off of her back and walks over.
Do you feel it? That heavy dread hanging in the air. There is something wrong. I know this place. I have been here before.
Adeline makes her way around toward the front of the throne.
Before she even gets there, she hears the voice of her father, Gaius Summers.
Oh, how nice. How nice that my children have returned. My beautiful, ungrateful daughter who abandoned the kingdom I left her.
I abandon you. I save the kingdom from your cowardice and your terror.
Oh, wait, that is your dad?
Regrettably.
And look, my lost little bastard boy as well. What have you become?
Well, you have no right to call me yours. You did nothing to raise me.
Wait. What? This asshole is your father as well?
Yes. Also, regrettably.
I'm so confused. You called Rathiel your father back in the tent.
No, I called him father, but he is like an adoptive parent. He found me when I was young, when my mother passed.
And who was your mother?
Her name was Lyria. She was a servant in Byport. When she got pregnant with me, she fled in this direction to the place I now call home.
I see.
Oh, don't be so naive. Is this not what you thought of me? I'm the master of my domain. I take what I want when I want.
Oh, of course you do. It's exactly what I thought of you. I'm just glad he escaped being raised by you.
Yeah, and don't be gross. That's my mother you're talking about.
I hardly remember your mother. and I take no pride in those who disappoint me. You two do a disservice to my bloodline. I look forward to spilling your blood here. And Gaius stands up and pulls a sword off of the mantle of the fireplace that he's standing in front of. And he turns around. Do either of you think you can strike your father down?
Wait, are you guys brother and sister?
Fenfarrell takes a step forward and very defiantly plants his staff in the mud and says,
Violence is not strength. Compassion is not weakness.
We'll see about that. And everyone needs to roll for initiative.
17 for Junk.
15 for Matson.
10 for Adeline.
Nat 1 for Fenfarrell.
Critical failure.
Right off the bat, Gaius takes a very broad swing with his broadsword. And I need both of you to roll a saving throw.
We both got 7.
Lucky 7.
Wasn't enough to save.
Not lucky enough.
Gaius takes a heavy swing at both of you, striking you each for a heavy 6 damage that knocks you both onto your back.
Ow!
And then it is Junk's turn to act.
Junk rushes in front of Adeline, in between her and her father, and is going to take a big ol' swing with his 9-headed smasher and is going for armor break. That is a 7 for 13 damage.
That whooshes through Gaius as well, but not in a way that you feel like you've done any damage to him. He is brimming with power. The combined fears of Adeline and Fenfarrell that they have for their father is empowering Gaius in this moment. And it is Matson's turn.
Matson turns to Adeline and says, Adeline, what would you have me do?
End him.
Well, all right then.
And Matson rolls to attack. It's a 14 attack and a 4 and 2 for damage.
Matson comes around with the approval of Adeline and does 2 heavy strikes, one in the liver, one in the shoulder. You do feel like you've done some damage to him. And it is Adeline.
Adeline, struggling with her bleeding arm, has nothing further to say to this man she so deeply hates and shoots a Hydra poison arrow right at him. 14 for 12.
Without any mercy for this visage of her father, Adeline withdraws her Hydra poison arrow and she fires it cleanly into her father's neck. It makes good contact with him there, sticks in as opposed to whiffing like every other arrow she shot so far. And you see the Hydra poison start to course through his veins. He pulls out the arrow with disgust and throws it on the ground. However, he will be taking poison damage from here on out.
Yes.
And it is Fenfarrell's turn.
Fenfarrell, defiantly still sort of standing in that same stance next to his staff, looks at his father and says,
I will not play your game. I am not raising a hand against you. But that said, I will also not help you.
and he snaps his fingers.
And a black smoke forms around the eyes of Gaius Summers, and he is now blinded in his actions until the spell wears away. And with that, it's Orny's turn to attack. He runs at Gaius with his cudgel in hand. However, he doesn't make any contact with Gaius, who lifts up his kingly cloak. Orny runs underneath the cloak and continues swinging right through this fireplace that isn't actually there.
Oh, I almost face planted in this river.
That's all right. It happens to the best of us, buddy.
Though blinded, Gaius does his best to turn his attention to Fenfarrell.
Have you no backbone, boy? Will you not fight your father?
And he takes a desperate swing with his broadsword, narrowly missing Fenfarrell and his sword sticking into the dirt next to you.
What kind of father would harm his children? I have taken my stand enough. I am a stronger man than you.
You're hardly a man at all.
Now it is Junk's turn.
All right, with King Gaius's broadsword stuck in the ground, Junk brings his warhammer high over his head, and he's going to swing down where his hand meets the sword in an attempt to disarm him. That is a 15 for 6 damage.
That familiar whooshing sound occurs, and as you make contact with the hand and the sword, you get the sense that this is all one smoky cloud monster, and thus there's not really any severing that can occur.
Gotcha.
And it is Matson's turn yet again.
Matson wants to keep helping his friend, so he's going to go for yet another attack. It's a 12 for attack and 4 and 2 damage.
Matson makes more glancing contact with Gaius, stabbing him in the gut and in the chest with 2 consecutive strikes. Gaius snarls and turns his attention to his daughter, who he knows is on the attack next.
Adeline draws back a traditional arrow. Oh, the great King Gaius. This illusion is over. And she aims right for his head. 18 for 10.
Ooh, great.
Nice.
Adeline takes a measured breath and fires an incredibly powerful shot right between the eyes of her own father. Gaius falls backwards upon contact, dropping his sword and collapsing into dissipating black smoke. In its wake, the last silver coin sits equidistant between Adeline and Fenfarel.
Adeline's kind of shaking a little bit from the anger and the adrenaline, and she just kind of turns over to Fenfarel and kind of gestures like, do you want to pick it up?
Fenfarel bows deeply and says,
I think this one belongs to you.
Adeline, after a moment of silence, nods, very grateful. For what it's worth, Fenfarel, I'm thrilled you exist. I'm so glad to have a half-brother. It's amazing.
I am too, reeling with this new information.
Sorry that's your father.
Same. I could say the very same to you.
Thank you. I had another brother. You had another brother as well, Charles. He was great, and, for what it's worth, I think we all turned out so much better than Gaius. And with that, she walks over and gives Fenfarel a side hug.
Oh, this is awkward. I love it. A sibling. I have a sibling.
I love a good side hug.
Well, then come on in.
and he grabs you and sort of just pulls you in by the head.
Thank you for that.
The Junk does an awkward motion, like wanting to join in with the hug, but realizing the moment is sort of already ending, and so he falls back into himself, just awkwardly.
In the distance, revealing itself, is a painted white wooden dock. Sitting at this dock is the paper boat Rathiel had sent ahead of you. However, now it is large enough to carry you all.
Oh my goodness, look, it's the petite parchment pontoon. It's enormous.
Junk excitedly bounds towards it.
Getting closer, you find the boat is tethered to a large silver box. Ornate and mysterious, it features 4 separate and identical large coin slots in a row.
It seems clear to me. And Matson takes his coin and puts it in the designated slot.
It accepts your coin, but nothing happens.
Insert all the other coins.
Yeah, Junk puts his in.
And Orny drops his in.
Adeline puts her coin in with a sense of accomplishment, happy this experience is over.
It accepts the final coin, and still nothing happens.
What the heck?
Oh, easy. You just gotta try hitting it.
She punches the machine.
Or maybe we could try pulling the lever on the side.
I didn't see that.
Orny walks around to the side of the silver box, and he reaches up and has to stand on his tiptoes to pull this lever down. As he does, there's a sound a little bit like a slot machine, and the tether releases itself, and you get the sense that, hey, now we can travel on this boat.
Friends, what a wonderful time we've spent in the dreaming. I just want to let you know that though we have all seen crazy things in this place, we are now bonded by the heartstrings of the dreaming. So perhaps I will see you again someday.
Wait, are you not getting on the boat with us?
No, I'm getting on the boat. I'm just being pithy.
Oh, okay. So when you say we'll see us again in the future, it'll be like in a couple moments.
I mean, yes, immediately I will see you,
gotcha.
but also in the future after that, I will also see you.
And I think that's a good enough place as any to wrap this up. Wow, what a trials and tribulation adventure we had here. We the party all had to face some personal fears and stuff.
I have a half-brother.
You have a half-brother?
I have a half-sister.
Oh my God, you're still here. I thought the game was over.
He lives here now.
Oh no, we're never going to get rid of him.
Nope.
It's a good thing we have the spare room. Paul, how much did we earn for our outing today?
Oh gosh, for all of the dreamscape enemies that were slaughtered, that were at varying degrees of horrifying, you all walk away with 650 XP.
All right, math kids, 650 plus 3850. 4,500 points, and we level up at 6,000? Yep. This was an absolute blast. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Did you enjoy yourself
Of
at your
course,
first
yeah, it was
adventure
delightful.
into Rymore? Well, this was an absolute blast. Make sure that you are following Andrew Mena and all the things that he does. Once again, at Andrew Mena on Twitter and the Andrew Mena on Instagram.
You got it.
Check out his podcast. They are super fantastic. Check out his art. The guy is an incredible illustrator. You can see all that stuff on the Instagram. So for a little bit of the business, make sure that you are checking out dndwpod.com for all Dungeons and Dragon Wagon needs. You can check out character art and the maps and extra bonus content you might not be seeing in the regular iTunes or Spotify feeds. And go ahead and click the contact button. Shoot us an email, and we will, respond to you and chat with you during our roundtable episodes. While you're there, you know what else you could do? Check out the shop. Click shop in the corner. We have some fantastic Rhyme War t-shirts, some Dungeons & Dragons t-shirts. Purchasing something from the shop is the absolute best way to support the show. It'll help us keep the lights on, and plus you get to wander around in some sweet digs, touting your podcast pride. And with that said, make sure that you are chatting about us on social media, at D&DW Pod on all social media. Use the hashtag D&DW Pod when you're sharing this with friends. And last but certainly not least, those sweet, sweet reviews, baby. Oh, yeah, they're like, I can feel them in my veins. We thank you to everybody who has left us incredible reviews. Please continue to do so. And by leaving those reviews, you are automatically entered to win one of our roundtable contests in between every single chapter. So please do so, and, keep on listening. Once again, thank you so much, Andrew. This was a blast. I cannot wait to see what the next half of this chapter brings us. And my name is Jake Lloyd.
My name is Paul Bianchi.
I'm Matt Hicksman.
I'm Alexandra Hoy.
I'm Andrew Mena.
And on behalf of everybody here at Dungeons and Dragon Wagon, we will see you next quest.
A huge thank you to our Chapter 4 guest of Quest, Gina DeVivo, for reprising our beloved Asteria. Find Gina on Twitter and Twitch at Pocket Gina, and be sure to catch her in a variety of shows for Geek and Sundry at Project Alpha.
It's Dragon Wagon.
Check it out, you guys. It is another island. Who would have thought?
These have been so fun.